Hey YouTube. So today we're gonna get into the sign of Capricorn and there's four main archetypes that I have for you. For starters, Capricorn is the 10th sign of the zodiac. It is cardinal as far as its modality, and it is feminine as far as its gender, and is of the earth element. So the first archetype I have for Capricorn is the corporate climber, and this is basically what I think of when I hear Capricorn. Capricorn is Capricorn's main symbol is the mountain goat. That's basically what this archetype sort of demonstrates. And the whole purpose, the whole goal of the mountain goat is to get to the top of the mountain. Um, in order to do that, you have to do that with diligence, and you have to be slow, and you have to be deliberate, and you have to be very careful. You have to plan your next move, and there's often setbacks where you may have to go down some and then you have to go back up. Um, and it takes a lot of resilience, and only someone with a lot of Capricorn energy can do that. But it can kind of suck doing that too. Capricorn is the sign of bad luck. So, just like anything, you have to be prepared for anything to happen when you have a lot of Capricorn energy. Just because you are going to be faced with a lot of setbacks. And this type is faced with a lot of setbacks. Um, but they're usually the type that can handle it. Um, and Capricorns are usually, because Capricorn deals with age and maturity and your career and your sort of your later adult life. Um, but Capricorns can often be, very mature when they're really young, and they can be very successful when they're really young. So it can kind of go either way, where the Capricorn could be an early riser or a late bloomer. It's usually one or the other. Rarely does the Capricorn mature just like everyone else, especially as far as their goes. Like you'll meet Capricorns who, you know, they're 19, 20, 21, and they're the boss at their job. They're the boss at job. They're the boss at their job, and they're in charge of a bunch of 30 and 40 years old. 30 and 40 year olds. Now, some of this is because the corporate climber and Capricorn in general, a lot of times they could be born at the top. Capricorn deals with your ancestral legacy, especially your father's side. It deals with status. It deals with reputation. So you do have those people who have heavy Capricorn energy, and they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. On the other side, you have Capricorns who are born at the very bottom, and they have to. Usually, those are the late bloomers, just because when you're born at the bottom, plus you have a lot of Capricorn energy. I'm talking about myself right now. When you're born at the bottom and you have a lot of Capricorn energy, it's two heavy things going against you. Because like I said, you're still gonna have those setbacks, and everybody else who's born at the bottom with you, they're gonna surpass you most likely in a lot of ways. Not always career. Like for example, a Capricorn can be a late bloomer physically, where I know when I was 23, like I was working at this restaurant, and these like middle-aged women came in, and they were flirting with me. That's another Capricorn thing too. You can attract a lot of very mature people even when you're really young. But anyway, they were flirting with me, and I think there was what, three of them, and the one woman told her friend, "Oh, stop! He's like 16." And I'm looking at her like irritated as all get out because I'm 20 fucking 3 at this time. So I'm like, you have just like took 7 years off of me. I mean, that's cool when you 30, when you 40, when you 50, but when you 23, you want to be known as a 23-year-old. But that's just one example. Um, this type of Capricorn can be very serious. Actually, this archetype is the most serious out of the entire zodiac. More serious than the two types of Scorpios I told you about, the occultist and a triathlete, they can be very serious, but like I said, this type is more serious. Um, but they can catch you off guard with their dry, sarcastic sense of humor. And I kind of have this trait too. I'm Capricorn dominant and I'm Capricorn rising, and I have my North Node in Capricorn, so I just have like a lot of Capricorn energy. Um, so yeah, I definitely can relate to a lot of shit. Like, especially when I first started at the job that I work at. It's very like distant, kind of standoffish, very just like I'm here to do my job. Capricorns, we don't play when it comes to our stability. We don't play when it comes to our money. So like, I don't really want to kick it with the coworkers. Not because they're not cool people. A lot of them are. It's just because anything. When I'm kicking it, I want to say and do whatever the fuck I want to do, and I don't need that to hinder my workplace performance in any way. Cause shit can spread real quickly. Oh, Daquan said this. I shouldn't have said my name. Oh, so and so said this. And then it just spreads, and then there's an issue. So I'm like, Caps, we can be very, very like that, where it's like, unless kicking it with people is gonna make our career better in some way, we don't do it. We won't do that. Anyway, Capricorns can, especially the corporate climber, can overwork themselves. A 40-hour work week is damn near a vacation for them. A 60-hour work week is like a joke to them. An 80-hour work week and above is normal to a lot of Capricorn heavy people, especially of this type. But the thing about Capricorn is that it's very much a work hard, play hard sign. Um, just think of Saturnalia in ancient Greece. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. It's ruler of Aquarius too, but it's the sole ruler of Capricorn, where Aquarius is also ruled by Uranus. Um, but basically, Saturnalia was like, it was like the time to get loose in the old days. It was like, I forget all the stipulations of Saturnalia, but like the slaves became like the masters or something like that. It was a lot of, I'm sure that was like some kinky shit, because Capricorn can be kinky as fuck. Capricorn is that type that you see in the movies a lot of times, where it's like this big boss CEO, but he likes to be dominated and shit. And so he'll hire this like top notch escort to tie him up and shit. And the escort is gorgeous, like supermodel gorgeous. That's Capricorn as fuck. That's like with every Capricorn. Well, not all Capricorns are submissive and bad. Capricorns are usually either submissive or dominant. It's one or the other in bed, but like that's very fucking Capricorn right there. Wolf on Wall Street is very fucking Capricorn too. Like, not, remember I said, so I'm contradicting myself a little bit, but like most Capricorns, we won't kick it with people we work with. But from what I understand in settings like that, where like a lot of elite upper crust people are, and where they work, the sectors in which they work, there is a lot of mingling. There's a lot that's like a part of networking. If you're not doing coke and fucking prostitutes, you're not a part of the team, depending on where you're working. Um, they can be nosers too, if they think that will get them to level up. Though the brown nosing is not genuine, of course. They hate authority. Capricorns typically hate authority unless they are the authority figure. A lot of times we do make good authority figures. The only issue is that, especially with this type, the corporate climber, they can overwork their subordinates, just because, I mean, like I said, a 40-hour work week is a vacation, a 60-hour work week is a joke, 80 and above is normal. So a lot of times it's not they're trying to overwork you just because they're assholes and cold-hearted. Sometimes it is. But a lot of times it's because of all of the work they have to do to get to that place, and they're treating you like they would treat themselves. So they're just kind of like, when you're telling them it's too much work, it's like they're not comprehending it at all. Now, when they're little, some Capricorns, I don't want to say they'll like authority, but they do want to know where their boundaries are. So some Capricorn children will act out, just to see, okay, am I going to get in trouble for this? Am I going to get in trouble for that? What is the punishment for this action versus the punishment of this action? And I did this a little bit when I was a kid. This is just me. This is not other like Capricorn heavy people. I did that just so I can figure out how to work the system the best way. It wasn't because I liked authority. It wasn't because I liked punishment. Some Capricorns, those may be the reasons behind it, though. But for me, it's like, I want to know how to fucking work the system, so I can do this, this, and this, and you'll just yell at me. Okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this all the fucking time. But I have a lot of rebellious energy in my chart. So like I said, this is not necessarily a Capricorn thing. A lot of times it is because, well, some of the times it is because they just want to test the boundaries and stuff. Now, Capricorn is also a rarely forgiving sign, and that's all the archetypes. However, this type of Capricorn won't be vengeful in most cases. And I was watching a clip of Steve Harvey, who's a Capricorn sun sign. Now, mind you, whenever I do these videos, I'm not just talking about the sun sign. I'm talking about the sun sign. I'm talking about the moon sign. I'm talking about the rising sign, and I'm just talking to anyone who has a lot of Capricorn energy. You can have your Mercury, Mars, and Venus all in conjunction in Capricorn. Guess what? I'm talking to you because you have a lot of Capricorn energy. Now, with that hookup, you may not have as much Capricorn traits. Your partner may have a lot of Capricorn traits. Your male friends may have a lot of Capricorn traits. Your female friends may have a lot of Capricorn traits. Your siblings may have a lot of Capricorn traits. So it's a little different for everyone. Everyone has Capricorn energy, of course. So even if you don't have a lot of Capricorn energy, you may be watching this and going, "Hey, that sounds like me," or "This sounds like me." So just keep that in mind. But I quote a lot of the sun signs just because your sun sign is how you express yourself. So these people are expressing Capricorn energy. Whereas like the moon sign, which is the deepest part of who you are, along with the IC, is you're still very much Capricorn. You still have a lot of Capricorn energy, but you may not express this as much. Hope that makes sense. But anyway, I was watching a clip of Steve Harvey, and Steve Harvey was saying, and I forgot who he was responding to or what question he was responding to, but he was saying that I can't climb higher while kicking down. And that's, in a nutshell, why this type of Capricorn doesn't necessarily act on their vengeful thoughts, because they're trying to get to the next level. And they can't do that if they're constantly fighting with someone else. Now, don't think they forgot or forgiven you for anything, because they haven't. And oftentimes, once that Capricorn gets to the top, if you're still in sight, they will use their connections, they will use their power to retaliate, and they will do so in a way that they can get away with it. Capricorn is one of the most calculating signs of the zodiac. So they're not going to do anything that makes them look bad or that fucks up their reputation. Put it like that. Unless, of course, once again, they can get away with it. Capricorn is Capricorn is like, Scorpio is the hitman, assassin of the zodiac. Capricorn is the sign who hires Man, that might sound dramatic, but it's a thing. Um, and speaking of like reputation, um, the worst thing you can do to this type of Capricorn, and a lot of other types of Capricorns will feel this as well, is embarrass them or humiliate them in front of their boss or their clientele. This can be the same with Virgo, but how they'll handle it is different. The Virgo will pull you to the side later. The Capricorn, even though they care a lot about their reputation, that's one of the things that can make a Capricorn explode like on sight. Like you making them look bad in front of their boss, you making them look bad in front of their clients. They can sort of look at life as like a game to be played and like dominated. Um, and with Capricorn, that game would be Monopoly, no doubt. So they could basically bust their ass to have everything that you're supposed to have as an adult. So a good playing career, an attractive, supportive partner, at least on the outside, attractive and supportive. Um, Nice things. They can be label whores, and Capricorn is usually a label whore just to put it out there that hey, I have money, I have status. Capricorn is the sign of hierarchy. So Capricorn, when a Capricorn is looking at you, especially the corporate climber, they're analyzing whether or not you're superior to them or inferior to them. Now, once again, this is not all Capricorns, of course. Let's go, of course, especially if you have, like, for example, a lot of Aquarius in your chart. Aquarius is the egalitarian of the zodiac. You may not look at the world in this way, but it's a very Capricorn thing, is what I'm saying, for someone to look at the world, to look at humanity and say, oh, this person's beneath me, this person's above me. Well, once again, just because you're above that Capricorn, it doesn't make you safe. Just because that Capricorn wants your spot. So, um, but of course, even if like a Capricorn has all these things that you're supposed to has all these things that make you look good on paper, it doesn't mean that they're actually happy and fulfilled. So with a lot of Capricorns, with a lot of the corporate climbers, with a lot of the Capricorns who have everything they're supposed to have, they can actually be extremely depressed. Um, Even sometimes to a point of being suicidal or even committing suicide. But that's, of course, on a very extreme level. Now, another type of Capricorn we have is the unicorn. And the unicorn is an old symbol of Capricorn as well. It's not really used so much today, I've noticed in astrology. Um, but this type of a Capricorn is, they're pure and innocent, often very spiritual. Capricorn is the sign of spiritual initiation and discipleship. So they can be like I had a Capricorn coworker who verbatim said she was like married to Jesus, and the way she conducted herself, I mean, I bought it. They could just be very, very like pure and innocent and naive. I remember another situation when I was at work, and I was working at this gym, and whenever we had to put in notes in, and whenever we put in notes in, we had to initial it. And my first and last initials are DP. And if you've ever been on Pornhub or X Hamster, you know what DP means. So all my coworkers like noticed that, and we were all having a good laugh about it. And this Capricorn was our boss, and actually we had two Capricorn bosses there. It was interesting. Um, but I remember she was laughing. She was like, "I don't get it." And she was dead serious, like she really didn't get it, and I was just like, keep her pure, like we're not gonna tell her what it means, because she would have been appalled. She's just, yeah, she would have been appalled. So that's a good idea about how like this type of Capricorn functions. And funny enough, we also had another Capricorn coworker who, she's actually no longer with us. Rest in peace. Um, but we were talking about sex. I don't even know how we got to the topic of sex, but another coworker was talking about how she wanted to get thrown on the table and just taken, and the Capricorn coworker was like grossed out by that. She was like, "No, that's where you prepare food." So it's just like you're either kinky or you're vanilla when it comes to this cat. I mean, I guess it's everyone, duh. You either kinky or vanilla, but like, I mean, when I hear someone say they're vanilla, I just think that they don't want like whips and chains. They don't want to be hurt. They don't want to be restrained, like stuff like that. They want you to be hygienic. But I don't think that like they're very restricted. Like I assume that this type of Capricorn is very restricted in that, and Capricorn does rule restrictions and limitations, and that restriction can kind of like manifest in a lot of different ways. Like for example, Capricorns can be very short because there's like restriction over their height, especially your Capricorn rising. Um, but Capricorns can be very tall too, because Capricorns a lot of times Capricorn deals with good bone structure, and a lot of times Capricorn people have that like model look to them, especially here in the West. And I remember there was a forum that I was on, an astrology forum, that helped me recognize this. And they were saying how in Asia, they prefer that sort of Neptunian look, where it's very soft, it's very ethereal, it's very, very dreamy. Whereas, like here in the West, we prefer our models to be tall, and, like statuesque, and great bone structure once again, and that's very Capricorn. But yeah, the restrictions can manifest in a lot of different ways, and like I've never had sex with the unicorn type, but like I imagine they're kind of boring in bed. Then I don't know. Maybe I don't want to say boring because maybe they bring something new to the bed that like you're not used to, being that they're so pure. I think I would be bored if if I was hooking up with one of them. But I mean, they probably wouldn't fuck my nasty ass anyway. But anyway, um, yeah. So, oh, I know they can also be extremely fucking funny. Um, just think of like Jim Carrey and his style of like very goofy fucking like childlike humor. This is very like the unicorn type, and you will see it in a lot of the astrology videos that I make, the different manifestations, how you will have one type of a certain sign, say the corporate climber, who's very serious, and then you'll have the unicorn who can be very goofy. Like you will see that a lot in astrology and the different signs. You'll see the most extreme differences in like say your water signs, and your mutable signs. And remember I said how the mutable signs, they can be extreme, but they're extreme because they're in between two different seasons. So they'll go from one season to the next season. Kind of how like in at the end of summer you can have like super hot weather, and then you can have like that fall cool weather. So that's how mutable signs can show their extremes. Whereas the fixed signs, they're extreme because it's the same energy compounding on itself, building, building, building. Because they exist in the middle of each season. So during Aquarius season, you get the most intense form of winter because it's just all winter weather building and compounding on itself. I hope that makes sense. Um, so the next archetype of Capricorn is the scapegoat. So the scapegoat can kind of just feel like they belong at the bottom. Um, and that's them in a nutshell. They can just feel like they're not worth a lot. They can often deal with a lot of depression. A lot of times these people are born poor. They are born poor. They are born with a bad connection to the father. Capricorn does deal with the father's legacy and the father. And I have noticed with this type of Capricorn that they may not have a good relationship with their father, or their father may look down on them in some ways, or their father just may not like them. Like that's a definite possibility with this type, and it really fucks with their hair because, like I said, Capricorn deals with the father's ancestral legacy. Um, and I'm a Capricorn. I'm not this type of Capricorn, but I recently have been connecting deeper with my father's roots and whatnot, and my father's just like family energy, and it's definitely like helped me like mood wise in more ways than I thought it ever would. And it's weird because, you know, especially growing up African American, at least my age group, it was very normal to just be a child of a single mother and not really have a good relationship or a relationship at all with your father. So that was just my normal. And to connect with my father's side and feel like more mentally healthy, more like a heightened sense of, more stable sense of self esteem. I want to say heightened. Um, yeah, just more emotionally balanced is we're definitely connected to our father's energy, and our father's family, even if we're like distant, even if we don't like them, we're definitely our father's kids. Now, if this type of Capricorn does the work, because Capricorn and Saturn deals with hard work, it deals with practical things that you do every day to make yourself better. This type of Capricorn can rise up and be similar to the corporate climber. The difference is that they'll probably always need some type of mental help for their depression, just because they started there, and that's kind of how it shaped them, unfortunately. But they have a lot of Aquarius, they have a lot of Scorpio, they have a lot of Pisces, they can transform. Now, the final type of Capricorn I have is the Sadist, or the Punisher, as I like to call him. This type of Capricorn can be extremely fucking vengeful and very fucking nasty with their vengeance. Now, like I said, with Capricorn, they're gonna play it safe, and they're gonna be not safe, but they're going to be calculating, and they're gonna plan their attack, and they're gonna most likely get away with it. It may not always be vicious, but like I said, it can be nasty. And what I mean by nasty is that, perfect example. I have this client who's a Capricorn, and she's not of the sadistic Punisher type, but what she did was very of this type. So she was driving and she was going to the mall, and there was a car behind her right in her ass. And, you know, I guess she was going too slow, and the lady cut her off and flipped her off and drove to the parking spot, got out of the car, went into the mall. So my coworker, not coworker, my client, who had her baby in a bag, changes the baby's diaper. It was a shitty diaper. And she took the shitty diaper and she smeared it on all of the handles and all over the door and the windshield. And she pulled off just to watch the woman's reaction, and then she hurried up and left. And that's what I mean by Capricorn is gonna be downright fucking nasty with their revenge, and it's hilarious. That is perfect. I want to do that to someone. Like, that's how I felt when she told me that shit. It was fucking hilarious. Um, Causing pain can get them off. When I say get them off, I mean sexually, and I mean just like mentally. It can just give them like a high. Unforgiving, just like every other type of Capricorn. Just, you will see this unforgivableness. You will see this type of Capricorn can be very snappy. And it will be behind closed doors. They won't do it in public, but it's if you really know them, you'll see it. And most Capricorns can express their anger behind closed doors, and it can be dark and draining. But with this type of Capricorn, you can see the crazy in them. You can see the I'm ready to fuck somebody up, and then with the other types of Capricorn is more just like a ranting thing. They're trying to get something off their chest, though it can still be very draining. Capricorn energy, when it's negative, can be extremely fucking draining. They hate attention. I dated a guy whose sister was this type of Capricorn. She was like this type plus the corporate climate kind of mixed together, and it was her birthday, and this is when they were little. They were like, I'm gonna say she was 8, and they got the cake for her. They're all at the dining room table, and they're singing happy birthday to her. She gets embarrassed, and she goes under the table, and she starts biting people. Yeah, that's. She had a heavy Scorpio. She had a Mars and Scorpio too. It was a little bit of that Scorpio coming through too, but it was weird. And I was asking him, I was like, has she ever been humiliated? Has she ever been teased? He's like, nope, nope, no, no, no. She was just kind of like that. And you can see that in this type of Capricorn. This type of Capricorn, like, they can be sort of demonic, like Scorpios too. Even though, like I said, in Scorpio, the demon energy isn't necessarily bad. I don't believe demons are evil. Actually, we look up the history of demons; they didn't start off as evil anyway. But I do kind of conform to that. Demons are beings of darkness, kind of paradigm. But I don't necessarily believe that demons are automatically evil, even though this type of Capricorn can be devilish in a very fucked up way. Capricorn is the sign of the devil, actually. And they can be the type to like trick you into doing business with them, and like you know how like in movies where they have like the devil figure, he's like this big boss CEO, and like they're like, oh, I'll make you rich, blah 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 blah, and then he's like not telling you the full story of like, if you don't fulfill the certain if you don't fulfill these certain stipulations in the contract, he's going to, forever own your soul, and he's going to make it very hard for you to fulfill these things. That's kind of how this Capricorn is, where it's just like making a deal with them can be really fucked up. It can be really tricky because at the end of the day, they want to own your soul. This type can actually, funny enough, they can hide behind religion to support their sadistic ways. There was actually a character on this TV show named Salem. There's actually a character on the show Salem who was very much like this. I'm forgetting his name. I think it was Increase Mathers. And Increase Mathers was a real person, but in the show, of course, he was different, and he was like, he would kill witches, and he was just very sadistic. He was even sadistic to himself, where there was just certain, like, he would torture himself. He had like this belt that like dug into his skin, and he would always wear it, and he was always with the biblical scriptures just back to back to back. That's this type of Capricorn. And that's what I mean by hiding behind religion. They'll like take the Old Testament, for example, where God was being all wrathful and shit, and they were constantly like speak these certain proverbs to support their fucked up actions. Sagittarius and Scorpio can be like that too, but especially this type of Capricorn. They're cold-hearted and lacking in empathy, obviously. But the thing about them, and even though they can punish themselves, like I mentioned, when it's time for them to pay the price, like when it's time for someone else to punish them, they can't handle it. And the best example I can think of this is R. Kelly, who's definitely of this type. When he was having that interview by Gail, and how he's like crying and punching his fist, and he's just like basically having a meltdown, that's very much the sadist type. Excuse me, that's very much the sadist type when it's time for them to pay for their sins. They just can't handle it. So this is my Capricorn video. It's a bit shorter than the last few videos. But I hope you liked it anyway. Like I said, I'm a Capricorn rising. I have my Capricorn North Node. I'm Capricorn dominant. I'm a very Capricorn heavy person. So like some of these things I can definitely relate to. But of course, there's other things I can't relate to at all. But let me know in the comments if you're a Capricorn sun sign, if you're a Capricorn moon sign, if you're a Capricorn rising, maybe you're a Capricorn stellium, maybe you're dating a Capricorn, maybe you fucking hate Capricorns. Let me know in the Capricorn. Let me know in the Capricorn. Let me know in the comment section of what you thought about this video. Alright, thank you. Till next time.